Today on Inquirer, Philippine Coast Guard accuses China of directing a military-grade laser at one of its vessels in the West Philippine Sea.
It's time for the Chinese government to restrain its forces so that it does not commit any provocative act that will endanger the lives of people.
President Bongbong Marcos open to visiting forces agreement with Japan as long as it would not increase tensions over the West Philippine Sea. Charter change not a priority to President Marcos.
Lahat itong mga pinag-usapan, kaya natin gawin na hindi palitan ng saligawan.
And oil companies to roll back prices of diesel and kerosene. Good evening. The Philippine Coast Guard has accused a Chinese Coast Guard ship of directing a military-grade laser at one of its vessels, putting the Filipino crew in danger. To tell us more, here's John Eric Mendoza reporting live. Eric?
A Chinese Coast Guard ship attacked a Philippine Coast Guard vessel on February 6 using a military-grade laser, which caused temporary blindness to the Filipino crew. Coast Guard vessel BRP Malapascua was supporting a rotation and resupply mission of the Philippine Navy in a Yongin shoal in the West Philippine Sea when the China Coast Guard ship flashed a green light twice towards the PCG vessel. The Chinese ship then crossed the bow of the PCG vessel at a distance of 7.4 kilometers or 4 nautical miles, as if to warn BRP Malapascua to stop or alter course. Radio challenges were exchanged throughout, with the Chinese Coast Guard warning the Philippine ship that it was in the jurisdiction of the People's Republic of China. This despite the fact that the Yongin Shoal is within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, where the Philippine Navy maintains its presence through the BRP Sierra Madre. China claims almost all of the South China Sea, including the West Philippine Sea. But in 2016, the United Nations-backed Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague invalidated China's claim to almost the entire South China Sea. Meanwhile, the latest maritime incident was met with a torrent of condemnation from lawmakers and the military establishment. The Philippine Coast Guard called the incident a blatant disregard and a clear violation of Philippine sovereign rights in this part of the West Philippine Sea. Armed Forces of the Philippines spokesperson Medel Aguilar also called for Beijing to restrain its forces to prevent provocative acts that would put people in danger. Senator Hontiveros, meanwhile, said that China should be penalized for what she called a shameless harassment committed by the Chinese Coast Guard. However, ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro said that while the incident is highly condemnable, it should not be used as a justification for more sites of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement or Edca, as well as the additional military agreements with the US and Japan. Neil?
That's John Eric Mendoza reporting live. President Bongbong Marcos said a visiting forces agreement with Japan might help the Philippines if it would not increase the tensions already gripping the West Philippine Sea. That was the answer of Marcos when asked about the issue in an interview with reporters during his flight back from Japan to Manila after his 5-day official visit. Having studied the issue, the president said a VFA with Japan would be beneficial to the Philippines to protect its maritime territory, including fisherfolk using the area. Marcos added that the Philippines should be careful, however, that we do not want to appear provocative amid tensions over the West Philippine Sea.
If kung talaga makakatulong, I don't see why we shouldn't adopt it. We have to be careful also because we do not want to appear provocative. Parang imbis na pinapakalma natin ang sitwasyon sa South China Sea, ginagawa natin mas magiging mainit, di ba? That's not what we want.
Meanwhile, 3 private Japanese corporations have so far committed to investing in the Philippines' proposed sovereign wealth fund, or the so-called Maharlika investment fund. Marcos disclosed this to reporters on Sunday aboard the plane back to Manila from his 5-day official visit in Japan. But the president did not reveal the names of the companies who want to put their money into the MIF out of respect for the firms.
Some of the private corporations, we mentioned it. We have some commitments, but then I don't think it's appropriate for me to name who they are. But they have, there were already 3 commitments, the substantial amount that they are willing to invest in the fund. So we can begin there.
The death toll from a massive earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria has risen to above 33,000, according to a Reuters report. The report said the tremor has killed over 29,000 people in Turkey and more than 3,500 in Syria. Death toll in Syria has not been updated for 2 days. It added that the death toll across both countries surpassed the 31,000 deaths recorded from the Iran earthquake in 2003. This makes the Turkey and Syria earthquake the world's 6th deadliest natural disaster in this century. Reuters also reported about 80,000 people in Turkey were in the hospital, while more than 1 million are in temporary shelters. Meanwhile, a total of 53 Filipinos have been evacuated to a shelter in Ankara following the magnitude 7.8 quake, according to the Department of Foreign Affairs. DFA spokesperson Maria Teresita Daza said 53 Filipinos, including their spouses and children, are currently taking shelter in the capital city, while 25 Filipinos have already received relief goods as of Saturday. According to Daza, the Philippine Embassy in Ankara will not give additional data on the number of Filipinos contacted, as well as increases in number of evacuees and Filipinos given relief goods. Malacanang on a Monday said Congress has committed to pass 10 priority measures of the Marcos administration by June 2 this year, including the controversial proposal to establish the Maharlika Investment Fund. This was discussed today during the Executive Committee meeting of the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council, according to Presidential Communications Office. Included in the 10 priority measures are the Maharlika Bill and the Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps and the National Service Training Program, among others. The LEDAC serves as a consultative and advisory body to the President, the chair of the National Economic and Development Authority Board, on certain programs and policies essential to the realization of the goals of the National Development Agenda. The PCO also said June 2 is sine die adjournment of the first regular session of the 19th Congress.
Next on Inquirer Today. Charter change not a priority to President Marcos. Senator Robin Padilla says slight physical bullying is okay. And oil companies to roll back prices of diesel and kerosene.
This Inquirer Today will be back shortly.
Akala ko katapusan ko na eh. Sisigawan kami, nag-iiyakan yung mga bata. Yung lupa, ramdam mo na nag-vibrate. Patulog na kami ng asawa ko. Nakaramdam kami ng pagyanig na tuloy-tuloy. Tumayo yung asawa ko at ako din sumunod na rin sa kanya. Nung paglabas namin ng pinto, tumigil yung lindol. Ayun pala, pabagsak na yung building namin at napahiga po kami ng asawa ko sa semento. Sumigaw na ako ng malakas kasi akala ko madadaganan na ako eh. Akala ko mamamatay na ako eh. Nagpanic na ako dun eh. Kasi nasa 3rd floor po kami eh. Yung asawa ko dumiretso sa 4th floor para kung nandun yung nanay at tatay niya na nakatira. Ako naman, pababa na ng hagdan. Sisigaw na ako. Nung paglabas na ng bahay, kita ko yung 1st floor, hati na yung bumaba na yung pader.
Deprem meydana geldi şu anda. Şu anda deprem meydana geldi. Kayıtta mısın? Deprem meydana geldi.
Tapos yung the rest nung tumigil na, yung aftershock niya, malakas pa rin. Yung mga puno, i-shake talaga. Pati yung mga bubong na rinig mo talaga na umubong. Tapos yung yung lupa, ramdam mo na nag-vibrate. Parang naisip ko mamamatay na ako. Akala ko katapusan ko na eh.
Aftershock. Mga kasamahan namin nandun. Dilim.
Kami ng asawa ko, nag-stay po kami sa sasakyan. Pero yung iba, may nag-stay sila sa maliit na tent. 2 nights po kami nag-stay doon. Kasi hindi na namin kaya, sir, yung lamig eh. Walang tulong na dumating. May dala kami ng blanket. Hindi pa rin po sapat. Tsaka tubig. Malinis na tubig na inumin. Tapos heater, sir, at emergency light. Nag-ask sila ng tulong from the government, yung kamag-anak ng asawa ko. Kaso sabi nila after 1 week. Di naman pwede yun, sir, kasi may mga bata magkakasakit yun, may mga matatanda. Asawa ko nga may sakit nauubo. Tapos yung gasolina ng sasakyan namin mauubos na. Paluwas kami ng na Antakya, kita namin yung damage talaga. At traffic. Kasi lahat gusto nang lumabas Kasi sa downtown namin, maraming building, maraming apartment. Yung mga building wala na po, as in bagsak na. Wala ka ng kahit market, wala ka nang makita. May trauma na po, sir. Pag dito, pintuan pa lang, pag sara mong ganun akala mo maglilindol ulit. Parang trauma, parang hindi na maalis sa isipan, sir. Yung takot ba? Hindi nga ako kami makakain Kasi yung nangyari, nandito pa rin, hindi maalis. Mayaman ka man, mahirap, o gaano kakaingat, maraming pera o yung sakuna, darating at darating talaga sa buhay mo. Na, yun nga, pray lang ang makakatulong sa atin. Panawagan ko lang yung tulong, sir, na kailangan ng mga Pilipino lalo na dito sa Antakya, kailangan nila ng tulong na para sa, yun nga, lalo na yung mga naulila dito, na yung mga anak na nadamay. Yung tulong lang, sir, tulong.
President Bongbong Marcos said amending the constitution is not a priority of his administration, adding that the Philippines can get foreign investments without it. Marcos made this remark Sunday afternoon during his flight back to Manila from a 5-day official visit in Japan. Several lawmakers in the House of Representatives are seeking to amend in the constitution what they called restrictive economic provisions, particularly on the issue of foreign ownership. Currently, the Constitution prohibits a foreign company or individual from owning the majority share in a Philippine-based company. But Marcos said foreign investments can be achieved without replacing the current Constitution.
It's not a priority for me. Because maraming ibang kailangan gawin eh. Maraming kailangan, there's so many other things that we need to do first that we can still do, we can achieve, makukuha naman natin yung gusto natin, but within the present constitutional, the way the constitution is written. So I think the attempt is the reason that it's being talked about is because of the economic provisions. And gusto nga natin magkaroon ng investment. Kung minsan sagabal yun, alam naman ninyo yung mga issue dyan, yung mga ownership ng corporation, ownership ng lupa, puro ganun. But for me, lahat itong mga pinag-usapan, kaya natin gawin na hindi palitan ng saligang batas.
Slight physical bullying is okay and mental torture must be addressed first, according to Senator Robin Padilla. Padilla said this during the Senate Committee on Basic Education hearing on the implementation of the Anti-Bullying Act. He even said that physical torture has helped him in life.
Yung po sigurong physical bullying para po sa akin, kayang i-handle yun. Yung physical torture na, sorry po pero para sa akin, nakatulong pa yun para ako'y maging, hindi naman po sa usapin lamang ng humarap sa buhay, palagay ko, mga 20%, 30% nakatulong pa yun. Pero yung mental na bullying, siguro po, yun po ang dapat nating harapin. At kung ano man po, siguro, yung physical bullying, pagka umabot na sigurong gusto ko nang patayin, yun. Pero yung kadyut lang dyan, okay lang yun.
The neophyte senator also said that physical bullying may be underreported, recalling that when he was in school, these incidents were not reported to school authorities as the bullied will be called sumbongero or a tattletale. Padilla added that bullies are usually a child of a rich parent or of a politician, hence teachers are afraid to discipline them. During the hearing, senators learned that 65% or 17.5 million of learners have experienced bullying. Oil companies will roll back the prices of diesel and kerosene this week. The pump prices of diesel will decrease by 2 pesos and 20 centavos per liter, while kerosene prices will be cut by 2 pesos and 50 centavos per liter. Pump prices of gasoline will remain unchanged. This is the second week in a row that the prices of diesel and kerosene were slashed. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Neil at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. Hindi na affected si Rufa Gutierrez sa mga bashers at haters na patuloy na nang nenega sa kanya sa social media. Sa katunayan, sanay na raw ang TV host actress sa pang-ookray ng mga netizens kaya ayaw na niyang pumatol dahil kahit ano naman daw ang gawin niya ay talagang hindi siya titigilan ng mga ito. Nakachikahan namin at ng ilang members ng showbiz press si Rufa at nabanggit nga niya na namatay at nabuhay muli ang kanyang mga bashers dahil sa part 2 ng Made in Malacanang, ang Martyr or Murderer. Sa nasabi ng press ko na tanong ang aktres tungkol sa estado ng puso niya ngayong Valentine's Day. Anya, masaya naman daw siya everyday at para sa kanya, araw-araw ay V-Day. Samantala, agaw eksena rin ang hikaw niya sa press ko na talagang nagmumura sa kinang. Regalo nga ba ito ng kanyang rumored boyfriend na si Herbert Bautista?
It's a very controversial movie. There are people that will love the film. There are people that will hate it. So, hindi ko na pinapansin. Siguro, nakarating ako sa industriya ng ganito. You know, I've been in the industry since I was 13 years old. And marami na ako napagdaanan. Siguro yung bashing lang kasi ngayon is more social media. And for me, just ignore. Kasi namatay naman yung bashers nung pagkatapos ng showing, nung kumita ng husto yung Made in Malacanang. Nagpahinga sila. Ngayon naman parang nabuhay sila ulit. So after ng showing, feeling ko, mawawala na naman sila. So season lang yan.
Saan nga ba galing yung, kumbaga, yung nakakaw pansin mong hikaw? Na talagang napaka-brilliant.
Talaga? Nakakaw pansin ba? Oo naman.
Oo. So matagal na yan.
I think kay mommy to lang galing. Kami galing sa lalaki. Ever since talaga, hardworking na ako since I was 13. So, hindi ko kailangan umasa sa lalaki para sa mga alahas. Kung bibigyan ako, then thank you. But I can buy my own flowers and jewelry.
At yan ang Bandera Chika natin today. Thanks, Neil.
Salamat, Irvin, and these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Catch Inquirer Today live weekdays at 6 p.m. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.